The afternoon sun faded gently behind the bamboo grove, and long shadows stretched across the wooden porch of a small, quiet house. The air smelled faintly of dried grass, and wildflowers swayed softly by the fence. On the porch stood an old wooden chair, its surface worn smooth by time, and on that chair sat my grandmother on my father's side. My grandma, her silver hair shimmered in the fading light, and her eyes carried the calm of countless seasons. A cup of tea rested in front of her, steam rising in delicate threads. When I arrived, she looked up, and her gaze was warm, steady, and familiar. I sat down near her, still carrying the weight of a restless day. Worries pressed against my chest, deadlines, unfinished work, unspoken disappointments. I sighed, unsure of how to explain, and let silence speak for me. Grandma smiled gently, her wrinkled hand resting on the table. She tapped the edge of the cup and said, "Sit with me. Wait a little while for the tea to cool before you drink it." I turned to her, puzzled. Why wait? Isn't tea best enjoyed when it's hot and fragrant? She chuckled at my confusion, her voice light but steady. "If you drink too soon, the heat will burn your tongue," she explained. "But if you give it time, the flavor softens, and you can truly enjoy it. Life is much the same. Rushing often leaves you hurt. Waiting allows things to unfold as they should." Her words settled in the evening air, and I found myself staring at the steam rising from the cup. For so long, I had been hurrying forward, afraid of falling behind, afraid of missing something. I had forgotten that waiting itself could be a choice. Around us, the world moved slowly. The rustle of bamboo leaves, the call of a bird heading home, the soft chirping of crickets beginning their nightly song. Grandma lifted the cup toward her lips, then paused. She set it down again with a smile, as if to remind me once more. "You see," she said, eyes glowing in the dimming light. "Even something as simple as tea teaches us patience. If you wait, you gain not only flavor but also peace." I let out another breath, this time softer, and felt my shoulders ease. The tea was still warm, but no longer burning. I took a sip, and for the first time that day, I felt the taste linger, gentle and real. Grandma leaned back, satisfied, as if she had said all she needed. I realized then that her lesson was not just about tea, but about life itself. That peace comes not from racing forward, but from allowing time to pass, from letting the tea cool. The tea between us had cooled enough to drink, yet I hesitated, holding the cup in my hands. Its warmth seeped into my palms, steady and grounding, like the presence of my grandma herself. The silence between us was not empty, it was filled with memory. As I sat there, I remembered countless afternoons from my childhood. Summers, when the cicadas sang endlessly, and I would run barefoot through the garden until the soles of my feet turned black with dust. Winters, when the cold crept in through the cracks of the house, and Grandma wrapped me in her old quilt, telling stories to keep my mind away from the chill. She was always there, quiet, steady, never hurried. "Do you remember," Grandma said softly, "when you were little? You tried to pull the flowers from the garden before they bloomed." I laughed faintly. "Yes, I thought I could make them open faster if I tugged at the buds." Grandma nodded, her eyes glowing with the memory. "And I told you then, everything needs its own time. A flower forced open too soon will only wither. The same is true for us." Her words carried me back to that image, a little girl, impatient, wanting beauty now, and an old woman gently guiding her hands away. I realized that impatience had followed me into adulthood, wearing different faces, ambition, deadlines, the constant race of the modern world. Yet the lesson was the same. Grandma lifted her cup and finally took a sip. "See, the tea is just right now. Not too hot, not too cold. The waiting makes it gentle." I raised my own cup to my lips, and the taste was soft, subtle, lingering. I let it sit on my tongue, noticing how it unfolded. Bitter at first, then sweet, then warm all the way down. Somehow, the tea felt fuller, richer, because of the waiting. The porch creaked softly as the evening deepened. Fireflies began to glimmer faintly among the tall grass, tiny sparks floating in the darkening world. The air smelled of earth and smoke, and the hush of night slowly embraced us. Grandma leaned back in her chair, closing her eyes for a moment. You see, child, we often think life is about doing more, going faster, achieving sooner. But sometimes, life is asking us to slow down, to sit still, to taste. I looked at her, the lines of age etched deeply into her face, each one like a story written by time. She had known both hardship and joy, and yet her voice carried no bitterness, only calm. In that moment, I felt the truth of her words. The world would not collapse if I slowed down. Perhaps it might even open, like the buds in her garden, when given the chance to bloom on their own. We sat there without speaking, sipping our tea, letting the quiet do its work. And for the first time in a long time, I did not feel the need to rush. The night deepened, wrapping the world in its quiet cloak. The fireflies danced more brightly now, and the sound of crickets wove a soft rhythm into the silence. I set my cup back on the wooden table, watching the last threads of steam dissolve into the air. Grandma, I said at last, my voice hesitant. Sometimes I feel as if I am always running. Deadlines, goals, expectations, they never stop. No matter how much I do, it feels like I am falling behind. I keep comparing myself to others, and the more I chase, the emptier I feel. Grandma did not answer right away. She let the silence hold my words, as if they too needed space to breathe. She reached for the teapot, poured slowly into my cup again, then her own. You know, she began gently, when tea is poured, it is too hot to drink right away. If you rush to taste it, you burn your tongue, and the flavor is lost. But if you wait, if you allow time to soften it, then it reveals its true taste. Her eyes lifted to meet mine, calm and steady. Life is much the same. If you keep running, always gulping down every moment in a hurry, you will never taste its sweetness. You will only feel the burn. I lowered my gaze. Her words struck something deep inside me, a place long ignored. But what if I fall behind? What if others move ahead of me? Grandma chuckled softly, her voice carrying no judgment. Child, life is not a race. Do you think the fireflies worry about who shines brighter? Do you think the tea leaves rush to release their flavor before the water is ready? No, they follow their own rhythm, and so should you. I looked out into the night, watching the small sparks of fireflies drifting without order, yet perfectly in harmony with the darkness. A thought came to me. Perhaps the problem was not that I was falling behind, but that I was measuring myself against paths that were never mine to walk. Grandma sipped her tea slowly, her every movement unhurried. Peace does not come from doing more, she said. It comes from learning to sit with yourself, even when the cup is still too hot to drink. To trust that the moment will ripen, that life will open when it is ready. Her words lingered in the night air like incense. I closed my eyes for a moment, breathing deeply. The crickets sang. The wood of the porch held the memory of generations. The tea in my cup was no longer hot, but warm, steady, inviting. I lifted it to my lips, and the taste this time felt different, not because the tea had changed, but because I had. The night had grown deep. In the sky, stars sparkled like grains of salt scattered across a dark velvet cloth. The night breeze caressed the bamboo grove, leaving behind a rustling sound, like the whisper of the earth and heavens. I sat beside Grandma, still holding a teacup in my hands, feeling the lingering warmth like a gentle heartbeat keeping me safe. Grandma, I whispered, my voice dissolving into the darkness. I'm afraid that one day, when you are no longer sitting here on this porch, I will lose my way. I don't know if I'll be strong enough to slow down, to resist being swept away. Grandma smiled. Her eyes shone like two ancient, tender stars. Silly child, whether I am here or not does not matter. What matters is what I have planted in your heart. Like this cup of tea's flavor does not vanish when we finish drinking. It becomes part of us. And so it is with me. I fell silent, my fingers tightening slightly around the teacup. A feeling both warm and stinging rose in my chest, bringing tears to the corners of my eyes. Grandma laid her thin yet steady hand over mine. One day, when you sit alone with a cup of tea, you will remember tonight. You will hear the wind, see the fireflies, and feel my presence. Because love does not disappear, it only changes form. The space sank into silence, but it was not an empty silence. It was a silence that held everything. The chirping of insects, the beating of our hearts, the faint glow of the oil lamp, and the warmth of Grandma's hand. I felt as though I were being lifted, embraced gently by the earth and sky themselves. Then Grandma rose, as slowly as the rhythm of life she had chosen. She stretched, gazing up at the heavens. Do you see, child? Everything has its own rhythm. The stars do not worry about shining less or more. The wind does not rush, so let yourself live by your own rhythm. That is the only way to truly grow. I stood beside her, following her gaze into the sky. My heart felt suddenly light, as though the burdens I had carried had melted away with the wind. I smiled. I understand now, Grandma. When the tea has cooled, it is also the moment my heart finds stillness. Grandma nodded, her eyes filled with tenderness. Yes, and when your heart is still, you will realize you have never been left behind. You have only been walking your own path. Together, we cleared the teapot and stepped into the little house. The door closed softly, leaving outside the fireflies still glowing, the wind still singing, and the stars still endless. But inside me, a new peace had begun to grow quiet, yet unshakable. That night, I slept deeply, and in my dream, I found myself once again sitting on the wooden porch, holding a teacup just warm enough. And there she was, still sitting beside me, smiling, silent, as though she had never left. Thank you for giving this video a small moment in your life. I truly appreciate you.